Welcome everyone. My name is Daniel Amanya. I work here at Salt Roslyn, and we're going to make some cocktails for everyone. We're going to talk about the cocktails, and we're going to talk about the details about to properly execute them. So in your kits, let's start off with the bee's knees. Your bee's knees kit will have this beautiful gin from Vermont. This is a Bar Hill Tomcat. We're also going to have honey syrup and lemon juice. So my goal is, since you have all these ingredients already in your kit, I'm going to teach you 3 different ways how to make them. We're going to first start off with the most complicated way, the traditional way, egg white. So what we do, grab 1 egg, and we're going to crack it on top of the tin. Once we do that, we just transfer the yolk to each shell till all the egg white falls out into the tin. I'll show you why we're doing this one first in a second. All right, the egg white is done. So traditionally with all cocktails, you start off with the cheapest ingredient just in case you make a mistake. So we'll start off with the mixers. I got lemon in front of me. We're gonna do a full ounce of lemon. So fill your jigger all the way to the top. And just drop it in like that. Next is the honey syrup. We're gonna do the same thing. Full ounce. Now, this really cool gin, Tomcat. So why we're using this is one of the best gins to use for bee's knees. The tradition came from Vermont. Two people were working in unison. One was a beekeeper, one was a distiller. And they ended up learning how to use all the ingredients, or everything that was part of the agricultural landscape, if you will, to create this gin. This gin also, the Tomcat, is barrel aged, so it's going to have nice sweetness to it, and it gives it a very nice color. We're going to do a proper 1.5 ounce pour, which is a standard shot. Fill it all the way up to the 1.5, drop it in. Let's just keep that. We're going to dry shake first. So the whole point of this is that the acid, which is the lemon in this, is cooking the egg white. Also on top of that, it's creating a nice little froth. So you just shake it alone, I would say for about 30 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds. Shake it as hard as you can. Get a nice little workout. All right, that's good. Pop it right open. That's mice. Now let's give it a good shake. Why this is important, you dry shake first to cook the egg white to create the froth. Then we add the ice, and now everything starts diluting and forming into the cocktail. Switch the arm just in case. Woo! When popping the tin, if you want to do a cool pop, always start at this empty part. So get all the ingredients down. And what we're going to do here, we're going to strain. We're going to use a double strainer. This is one of my favorite things. I don't leave home without it. What this does to the cocktail, it gets all the extra crap out of extra stuff out of there. Gives it a beautiful, beautiful consistency and texture. And that's perfect. Why I decided to do this preparation first is that we're going to let it settle in the freezer. All right, that's done. Practice makes perfect. Let's do that all over again. The second way is going to be the traditional martini style. So this is going to be more practical for everyone at home that doesn't want to, if you don't even like eggs, perfect. You don't have to go through that dry shake. You can just have this nice martini style. 1 ounce of honey. 1 ounce of lemon. And 1.5 ounces of this really cool gin. Ice. And shake. So standard shake, I would say 10 to 15 seconds. You don't want to over dilute the cocktail, but it is important. Any cocktail that has acid has to be shaken. For variety, we'll use a nice martini glass. Let's go ahead and double strain once more. Now you got yourself one delicious bee's knees. So that is the easiest way, quite frankly, how I would prefer. I like a more refreshing cocktail. I'm not always in the mood to have an egg white cocktail, but for those that do, now you see the complete difference of this. Why it was important for us to put this in the freezer for a little bit. The egg white needed to settle. Now we're gonna torch and create like a nice little meringue accent on the bee's knees here. You don't want to overburn it. Keep a nice distance. Looks pretty cool. And since we have some time, the last thing I wanted to demonstrate with this cocktail, for efficiency purposes, and this is for fun, we cracked the code when we first opened that salt. That being said, we're gonna make another bee's knees for fun. Keep our discipline, cheapest ingredients first. Lemon, honey, so what I have here is a fancy nitrogen canister. This is used for all our foams here at Salt. The biggest difference with nitrogen and carbon dioxide, nitrogen has smaller molecules, and nitrogen is used to create foams. So we just put in equal parts of egg whites, lemon, and honey syrup, double charged it with 2 nitrogen canisters, and we do this right before the cocktail. So this alleviates the shaking process, or the dry shaking process, which is a 2-part shake. And not to mention, it's super cool. settle. And then you get more of the winter feeling, toasting marshmallows on a campfire feel. So a few things, a couple elements of detail we bring here at Salt. Just want to do that for fun. So this is the bee's knees that you will usually get here at Salt. All right, do we all feel comfortable making a bee's knees?
Egg white fire, very good.
The boss approves. So that being said, let's move on to our next cocktail. And I promise, it gets much easier after this. The hard part's out the way, folks. So, we'll do Into the Woods next. So in your kit, you'll have 3 liquors. Technically 1 liquor, 2 liqueurs. We'll start off with the main player of the cocktail, Maximo Mezcal. The biggest thing, the biggest detail and difference of mezcal and tequila, one, is from 2 completely different demographics. All tequila is controlled out of the state of Jalisco, and all mezcal is controlled out of Oaxaca. That being said, there is one varietal of agave that is indigenous to Oaxaca, and that's called the espadín agave plant. So this is 100% the espadín varietal. And the century-old tradition of mezcal, why it will always be smokier than a tequila, because they literally light it on fire. After they chop down the agave, they put it underground and with mud, coal, maguey leaves, and they char it before it's macerated and processed into the beautiful mezcal it becomes. So that is the biggest difference, 1, by demographic, and 2, different agave plant, and the process completely different. So that's your main player. Second, Sailors. This is one of our bartender Alex's favorite ingredients. This is a what they call it in France, a gentian liqueur that comes from the gentian roots of the gentian plants, the gentian. So the next liqueur is going to be Zerbins. This comes from Austria. This is a pine liqueur. It's as straightforward as it sounds. It tastes like the forest. Next, you have your honey syrup. And to make things easier for the users, we incorporated the Angostura in your honey mixture in your kit. And this is one of the main players as well for the Into the Woods. So let's start building. This is going to be a stirred cocktail. And if you remember how I explained the bee's knees, the main thing about shaking a cocktail is when a cocktail has acid, that is the cooking component of the cocktail, and it needs to be diluted, it needs to be worked within the spirit. This does not have any acid. So let's start with the cheapest ingredient, the honey syrup. We're going to do 1/4 ounce. Zerbin's liqueur, another 1/4 ounce. Stuff is very potent, and everything about cocktails is measuring. Measuring provides balance and accuracy. We're going to do 0.75 ounces of this Sailor's aperitif. Remember, just that one line right before the 1 ounce, it makes a world of a difference if you go over that 1/4 ounce. And now, mezcal, which, by the way, is my favorite thing in the whole entire world. We're going to do 1.5 ounces. Almost finished. So, as I mentioned, the bitters, this is the Angostura aromatic bitters. This is already incorporated in your honey. We're going to do 3 to 5 ounces. We'll do 3. And what this does, maybe a lot of people ask me, what is the point of bitters? The point of bitters, they call it the salt and pepper of the cocktail, the seasoning of a cocktail. What the bitters does, it literally enhances every single flavor and component of the cocktail. Grab some ice. Now we're going to show you the proper stirring technique. There's a lot of different ways people do it. The whole point of stirring is to have all the ice move in complete unison without fully diluting the cocktail. The proper way is to do it, I guess, chopstick style. 2 fingers, both your index finger and your middle finger in between, and then just give it a little stir. And as you see, if you zoom in here, the ice is moving in tandem. You can go faster if you wish. And what's important for us cocktail volume bartenders, this technique must be mastered when we're multitasking, because I'll be shaking almost every single time while I'm doing this. 15 to 20 seconds, proper stir. I'm going to use a stir strainer. Look how beautiful that comes out. And to complete the cocktail, most garnishes do provide an extra flavor, an extra layer of depth to the cocktail. This kind of provides both. This doesn't, obviously is not an edible garnish, but this does provide a lot of aroma to your cocktail here. So the whole point of this is just a cinnamon stick with a rosemary sprig. It goes with the whole theme of Into the Woods. So everything about this cocktail is woodsy. So starting with the mezcal, it's agave leaves chopped down. It's put into earth. It's charred before. Sailor's aperitif from the gentian root. Pine liqueur, explanatory, honey, bees, perfect. This looks like a little tree into the woods, and when you drink it, you can just smell that rosemary before the sip. I love this cocktail because it's incredibly balanced. You don't have to make anything other than like some honey syrup, which is equal parts honey and water. And you can buy all this stuff at the store, and it's a perfect cocktail in my opinion for the weather. The preparation is nice and dry. It's, to me, delicious. Let's get a close-up. Oh, and of course, the big cube. If you have a big cube, there's 2 reasons why a big cube is important. One, it looks good. It's sexy, let's be honest. But furthermore, it controls the dilution of the cocktail. It stays in shape longer, it keeps it cold, it doesn't overwater it. It's just the way to go. All right. How are we feeling, guys? We're feeling good, confident, mixologists in the making?
Yes.
All right. For our last trick, the #1 sold cocktail, company-wide, the Maple Old Fashioned. What we do with this Maple Old Fashioned, we barrel age it for 21 days, 3 weeks, in some barrels. A traditional Old Fashioned is gonna be 2 ounces of your bourbon and rye, a ½ ounce of simple syrup, about 3 to 5 dashes of your Angostura. If you want a pressed cherry and always an orange peel. But in this case, since we barrel age everything, let's talk about everything that goes into the barrel. We're gonna use Redemption rye, which this is a great rye to use for Old Fashions. This comes out of Indiana. The proper by government specs of it to be either a bourbon or a rye. Bourbon must be 51% corn, and rye must be 51% rye mash. This has 95% rye. This is as true as a rye as you can ever get. So you're gonna get a lot of those that spicy note, perhaps the vanilla-ish. Like it's a perfect rye in my opinion to make an Old Fashioned. Furthermore, we're gonna add, instead of the traditional Angostura bitters, we're gonna use from Fee Brothers Old Fashioned bitters. Let's zoom up. Fee Brothers have a huge line of bitters. We have, I think, every single one of theirs. This Old Fashioned bitters, we use it because we want it to be different, but this gives it more of a cinnamon note to the cocktail than your traditional Angostura. We're gonna back this up with, instead of your traditional simple syrup, we're gonna use maple syrup. I feel like it's a perfect syrup that holds everything together, and especially in the barrel aging process where things can, you know, tend to age differently and whatnot. So that being said, grab a big cube. And we are going to pour 3 ounces. Fill this guy to the top. That is 2. Fill the other side to the top. We have 3 ounces. Almost done. Since this is barrel aged and just put in the bottle, let's stir in glass. And traditionally, at least how we do it here at Salt, we build old fashions from the glass. What we do here, we press the cherry, a Luxardo cherry, which I'll show you what that is in a second. Add all the ingredients to an old fashioned, and then we stir in glass, and then express an orange. Now, what I want to teach you guys here is super, super important. A lot of people ask me this all the time when I work. How do you make your peels? How they come out perfect? Do you use a knife? Do you use a peeler? What kind of peeler? It really doesn't matter. A lot of old school bartenders really do use a knife. I am not about the knife life. Traditional peeler is the way to go for me always. Technique of, please, I have lost a lot of skin, maybe some nails, who knows. This is super important. Grab the orange and you put the bottom of it, the base of it, on your palm, the bottom of your palm. And then you have your fingers right over it. The biggest mistake is just not having this in balance. Get this support here, and then from there we're gonna do 2 strokes or 3. Grab it all the way to the top, and you press down, and you have to actually have the pressure on the bottom of your palm. So there's 1. Let's do 3. And see how perfect that was. I didn't cut myself, and boom. Now let's make it nice. So, chop this. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's cut a nice line here. All right, and another nice line. And let's just give it a little diagonal. Why not? From there, squeeze. This is called an expression. So when you do here, I don't know if you saw that, the camera caught that, you release the oils from the zest. Now, give it a nice little spin, make it nice. Here's our famous Luxardo cherries we talked about. We can buy those on Amazon. I believe Total Wine has them. For me, always, the whole point of a garnish, if it has actual fruit you can eat, you want to have the fruit accessible. So, make it as fancy as you wish, and you know, we're fancy here at Salt, so. Look at that. You got yourself a barrel-aged maple old-fashioned. Should we taste it? Amazes me how incredibly balanced this cocktail is. There's a reason why it's the #1 selling company-wide. Big difference when I'm drinking this from the nose, or getting the nose first before I take a sip. I'm smelling the orange expression. It is so vital to have that expression. And for fun, we don't have the proper cubes in today, but I wanted to show you one last little thing that we do here at Salt. We stamp our ice. Most people ask, how do you get that ice to stamp so well? Well, we have special ordered these stampers that have salt in the bottom. You activate it with a little bit of water, and then you press down. But press down, without breaking, obviously. Once you feel it got in there, it does stick, so it's a fine line. Okay, and boom. Zoom in on that bad boy.
Nice.
It's this is the perfect cocktail for the winter time. Hopefully it's still snowing, or is snowing when you guys see this. Who doesn't want to have a beautiful old fashioned? So those are 3 awesome cocktails. The bees, and what's great about each cocktail is that it's on 3 different sections of our cocktail menu. The bee's knees, we honor the classics. The bee's knees is on our classic section, and I showed you 3 ways to make it. If you don't fret like you feel like you have to use an egg white. If you do, I taught you how to do it, and I wanted to show you that cool technique that we do here at Salt with the foam, because we do get a lot of questions for that. And the second cocktail we made was Into the Woods, which that actually was on our seasonal cocktails, but it was super popular, so we moved it to our house cocktails. And the last one, obviously, Maple Old Fashioned. This is also on our house cocktails as well, so kind of like 2 house cocktails, 1 classic. I hope you enjoyed everything. I hope you guys make some awesome cocktails. Feel free to stop by at Salt anytime to have these made in front of you, or even if you want an extra tip or 2 if we forgot, we love to help at all times. Once again, my name is Daniel Amanya. I hope you enjoyed this, and happy drinking. Cheers, guys.